Good evening. My name is Mary Maslowski. I'm the chairperson of the Harwich Historic District and Historical Commission. We are opening the meeting at 6 o'clock at 732 Main Street in the small hearing room. It is Wednesday, August 1st, 2018 at 6 p.m. As required by law, we are notifying you that the town may audio or video record this meeting. If any person is intending to either audio or video record the meeting, you are required to inform the chair. Hearing none, we'll assume no one is recording this evening. I'd like to start with a quick roll call to my left.
Jean Steiner.
Gail Carroll.
Bob Doan.
Bob Bradley.
So we have been asked tonight to flip the order of our public hearings. So we are going to start with HH 2018-10. The notice of intent has been received for 611 Route 28, map 14, parcel Z6 in the C-V zone. The application proposes to replace the existing foundation with a full concrete foundation and to remove an existing 24 by 8 foot deck located on the back of the house. The application is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40, Section 6, and the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2. Joseph Young, prospective owner applicant. Somebody here for the application?
Yes.
Please come forward. You can take a seat at the microphone and state your name and address for the information.
Before we start, could we move this chair? This gentleman
please.
is having a problem
Thank you.
seeing.
No problem.
Thank you.
My name's Joseph Young. I live at 611 Main Street in Harwichport.
Okay. And can you
And
Go
just
over your
real
project
quick,
with us
the
quickly.
deck is on the front. It's a front porch.
Okay.
And the reason that's gonna have to get removed is because we're lifting the house. That's the only reason. It is caving in at the ceiling joist or the rafters, and we're just gonna basically go back up with the same thing. We're just looking to eventually restore the entire house back to its history, and you know, we got to start with the foundation first.
Now, I didn't see any brick foundation, correct? Is it cinder? Is it,
No, so it is an old brick foundation. What they did is they stuccoed over the entire foundation at some point. Eventually, we're going to put a brick facade on it. You know, just like I said, the first thing's really just getting that foundation going. And then we're gonna come back, we're looking to put a couple dormers on the existing house. But obviously, that's bigger plans for another day.
okay, so you are here under the notice of intent. So all we're addressing this evening is the foundation and the
Front
the
porch.
front porch.
Correct.
So you would, when you get to the other steps, you'd have to come back under another notice
Correct,
of
yes,
intent.
yep.
Just so that that's
No,
clear.
absolutely.
Are there any questions from members of the board?
Is the deck or porch, is that original to the house, or?
So it
Looks
depends on which map you look at. So if you look at the 1880 map, the historic map of Harwichport, it's not on there. It shows a different layout. But when you look at the 1905, it has the exact same layout as what's existing now. Minus, I think, the garage. I don't think the garage was on the 1905. I think that was done at a later date. Is it the original? I mean, I don't know. It's
old.
It's
It's
old.
not.
It's definitely, like I said, some rafters. It's basically 2x4, old 2x4 construction for the rafters, which isn't even code. And it's just sagging in the front at the ceiling. So there's some structural that needs to be attended to, and it's just, and I hate to do it, but it just makes sense just to get rid of it and redo it. I mean, the mahogany looks decent after I pressure washed it, but like if I can't
that the
keep
ceiling?
no, the mahogany's the deck.
Oh, the decking of it.
You know, like I said, it's just frustrating. I wish I could, but unfortunately, I'm not going to be able to salvage it.
And what are you going to replace it
I'm going to replace
exactly?
it.
Is
Well, the only thing I don't want to do is they got like a 3-foot wall all
Right.
the way around. I want to eliminate the wall part.
Mhm.
But if you guys are familiar with the moorings in Harwich Port, that's similar to what we'd like to do as far as putting it back, looking similar to that. That brings it back more to the time period and everything, because it's obviously been updated. Someone's put vinyl and aluminum all around, wrapped it around everything. So it's, someone just basically covered up all the beauty of it.
Are you going to raise the house when you do the new foundation?
So what we're looking to do is probably go up about 3 inches, I think it is.
And currently, I did notice that it is either stucco or even cement.
It is right
over
now.
it.
So they just put a coat over it. I mean, obviously we'd like to go with the facade. Like I said, eventually we will. Right now, budget-wise for us, we just need to get this foundation done because all the mechanicals that go along with it cost a lot of money to get all that back into the house.
Right.
Right.
So will you have pillars on the reconstructed porch?
We're going to, yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So I just want to make it clear, you'll be taking in the solid 3-foot railing out.
Yes. The wall, you mean?
And will this be screened then or something?
No, it's not going to be screened in.
Just open with
It'll be
columns?
just open. There'll probably be, we'll probably do some railings, like 18-inch or something like that, because it's not going to be 30 inches off the ground, so you don't need railings. So that's the kind of look we're going for. If you've seen our neighbors, the Nickersons over there, it's going to be probably close to that, but we're looking to do some railings like the moorings, like I said.
Any other questions from members of the board? We'll open it up to the audience. Any questions from anybody in the audience relative to the application to demolish? Hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion to close the public hearing.
Move to close the public hearing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
A second.
Gail has moved. Jean has seconded. We'll take a vote. All those in favor of closing the public hearing?
Aye.
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 Any in opposition? So the motion carries 5-0. So is there any, does the board have any further discussion on the application in front of us? Then hearing none, the chair would entertain a motion. Again, what we're voting on is to issue and allow a notice of intent for the demolition of the foundation, replace the foundation, and the demolition and replacement of the front porch as described in the application. The chair would entertain a motion
I so move.
to approve.
To approve the demolition of the foundation and the porch in question, and to continue with the build-out of a new foundation and a new porch.
Is there a second?
Second.
So Jean's made a motion, Gail has seconded. Is there any discussion? Hearing none. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, the motion carries unanimously.
Great.
So you can check in with the building department in the next, I'd say, couple of days, and they'll have a decision for you.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you, and I'll
Thanks
see you
so
guys
much.
soon.
Okay, so we will get ready to open our second hearing. Bob, do you
I'll
want to?
recuse.
So, for the record, Mr. Bradley is in a butter to the property, so he is going to recuse himself from the board, but he is, as an abutter, may choose to speak. So we will open the public hearing for HH 2018-09. An application has been received for a certificate of appropriateness for 711 Main Street, map 41, parcel D8, in the C-V zone and the Harwich Center Historic District. The application proposes to demolish the circa 1970 gasoline station shed and construct a two-story mixed-use commercial structure that includes 2 dwelling units. The application is pursuant to Mass General Law, Chapter 40C, Section 6, and the Code of the Town of Harwich, Chapter 131, Historic Preservation, Article 2, Ellie Basil, trustees et al. Owner Samil Patel, applicant. Did I say that correctly? Anyone for the applicant want to come forward and make a presentation? Please state your name and address for the record.
Madam Chairperson and members of the Commission, my name is Howard Cahoon. I'm an attorney with offices here in Harwich on Old Colony Road. I'm here with Samuel Patel and our
I'm sorry?
Hal Chuba.
our architect. Sit down.
Bring my
Okay. I'd like to begin by telling you what maybe some of the things I may have told you the last time we were here on an informal basis. The Patel family has lived in the town of Harwich for 10 years, since 2008. They've operated the business known as Main Street Market, which is currently a package store and a convenience store. Mrs. Patel is here. Bella, raise your hand. Bella's here. Gary is here. They're the parents. This is Samuel and L.A. They're the 2 sons. And this boy just got married, and his wife is right there. In any event, they all work in the business. They've expanded. They purchased Brewster Farm Market in Brewster on Route 6A. It includes gasoline pumps, and I think they've made it a better spot. They're also operating the Chatham Liquor Locker in Chatham. They don't own the property, but they have a business there and they rent. We're interested in moving forward and making something a little bigger for Harwich Center for what we have, and we hope that we can put together a package and a program and a structure that everyone can be proud of and give Harwich Center the lift that it needs. So we have it under agreement to purchase, subject to approval and permits and financing and so forth. As you can imagine, it's a big project. But I want to address one of the things that I sensed at the last meeting. We had an informal meeting here. We're really interested in having the structure with the end on the street, 20 feet off of Main Street, and it going back 100 feet, and with parking in front of that. Where's the board? It's hard to get good help these days. Thank you. I think you have this in your packet, and it's obviously small. But Ruggies, this is Main Street, of course. Ruggies is over here. This would be the structure, 40 feet on the street with parking here. There are 3 or 4 reasons that we think this is the best setup for the lot. I mean, ideally, we'd love to put the structure back here and have parking in front of it, but I know that it's important to this commission to have perhaps a presence on Main Street and promote walking and pedestrian traffic and so forth. If we do this, we will not have to have a curb cut over here and a curb cut over here, because the building would be along there and there would be driving in behind it to park and go into the store. So we eliminate a curb cut, which would be right next to Ruggies. I think that would be perhaps a safety hazard and not very convenient for people. So just one curb cut for here. Secondly, I think that to put this structure 100 feet on 20 feet from the road, I think it's just too massive. I think that it's overwhelming in scale, and I just think it would be too close to the road, and I don't think it would be pretty. And I don't think this is on the, hold this right,
Yeah.
this is on the plans, but this is what we do to the side facing the street. Sort of have transom over the windows and it's just 6/6 windows and I changed the pitch so that it would more in keeping with a home as opposed to a flat situation. And we'd have a door on Main Street for those people that would walk in and come down Main Street. The other thing that we consider is safety. I've talked to some people, I've talked to some of my friends about this project and so forth, and one woman said to me, you know, I would hesitate to, if the structure was on Main Street, I would hesitate to go back in there if I didn't know exactly what was back in there. In other words, you don't see what's back in there until you get there. And I can think of a Saturday night at 10 o'clock in the evening, and it's sort of a shield from the street. And we live in sort of strange times these days. We used to think that none of the things that happen elsewhere would ever happen here, but they seem to be happening too often. So I'm talking about crime, I'm talking about public safety, I'm talking about feeling secure. And this woman said to me, you know, I wouldn't like to go back here unless I knew exactly what was back there. And I think that the other thing is, if the police cars were going by, they would be able to see here, a well-lit, with antique lighting parking lot, what's going on. There's nothing to shield it from their sight or anyone else's sight. So I think it's a little more inviting this way. And of course, a convenience store is supposed to be convenient to the public, and we're hoping that this will be a convenient thing. You come in, you go out of your car, and you get one or two items, and that's what people are doing these days, and then you leave. You don't have to go in one way and come out the other, and so forth and so on. Excuse me. So that's what we're sort of proposing at this time. And I think, as I say, that this end cap, or this end with clapboard and the windows and the transoms, I think would be a nice touch. And 40 feet is a pretty big chunk of the main street. So that's basically the situation. I forgot to say that both Samil and his brothers went to Harwich High School. They went to Northeastern and Suffolk and graduated. They've got roots in the community. They're good people, hardworking. We haven't had any trouble with any of them. I'm their lawyer. I haven't been to court with them. But anyway, we're here to, you know, hear your concerns and work with you and hopefully put together something for that eyesore that needs to be corrected.
So before I open it up to the board, I will say that it is nice to see some development on that property compared to what it's been. I do like the fact that you did at least add the door on the sidewalk. You know, I do understand the safety concerns as well as far as the parking. But I'll leave my comments at that, and I'll ask if there are any members of the board that have any questions or comments for the applicants.
Yes. You know, as I did state at the pre-meeting when you came, I am concerned because this is a historic district and there are guidelines that that do say that any kind of new construction should be in keeping with the area. And I do not believe such a small frontage on the street is keeping with the other stores that actually almost everything on Main Street takes up almost the whole width of the lot now. And that's very appropriate. I also, I don't like the idea of the streetscape being 2/3 of the parking lot. So I have that objection. You know, I do think that arrangements could be made for that building to have parking in the rear and to have it facing more Main Street. I think that would look good. I think there are other opportunities to actually make a bigger building, you know, using a basement for retail or something, I don't know. But I do think that it is not in keeping with the Howard Center Historic District.
I would only comment that the Ruggies and the tile shop next door I know, no, I don't think they're even 40 feet. Those lots are
Mhm.
perhaps half the size of with frontage that
Mhm.
our lot is, so that, and across the street, it also, I think the lots are smaller, so that I think it's sort of in keeping with them in that respect.
Mhm.
And I gotta say that, I think that there would be a chilling effect on the business to have people have to drive in behind. And it wouldn't be as, it wouldn't be as inviting, it wouldn't be as inviting, and I don't know, it just wouldn't be as inviting.
They still have parking on the street. There's no reason why you wouldn't have a front entrance.
Well, we do have a front entrance, as we've just gone over, and the parking on the street, there's some, but it's pretty limited. There's
Mhm.
2 or 3 spaces, and I suppose during the day, the other stores would be using
Mhm.
the parking lots on the street. So there's a need for the off-street parking, and I think this is a good compromise. It puts a good chunk of the building on the street.
And I know the temptation is that let's get something there, but the decision we're going to make tonight is a 100-year or more decision that we may live with that building. And I think we have to be very conscientious of what is going to go there and that what's appropriate for a historic district. And because this is a historic district, I believe that the historic nature and the fitting in it comes as the #1 priority.
I think, as I said, if you put a 100-foot-long building across the front of that lot and that close to the road, I think that's going to be startling.
And there is already the Main Street Market building in historic area, which is not along the road.
That is correct, and that's, but that was, I don't know if it was put up during the historic district, I don't think it was.
I think so.
Prior to, and, but yet, everything else pretty much does fit into, other than that one.
You know, it's nice to try to keep hold of the past, and I'm a Cape Codder, as you are, through and through.
Mhm.
And I like to see things that are clapboards and shingles, and we're going to put shingles on this, on the roofs, and with clapboards on the side, and so forth. And we've got some transoms, and I think we're going to make it so that it's attractive. You also have to consider that, you know, people aren't walking as much around. Everyone has a car.
Mhm.
Back when you and I were in high school here in Harwich, the father had the car, the
Right.
mother didn't drive,
That's right.
and the 2 kids, they got in the back seat. Now the mother has the minivan, the father has a vehicle that he goes to work with, and as soon as the kids get to be
Right.
driving age, they may well have a car themselves. Not everyone can afford it, or can, but they do. So,
And 95% of Harwich, you can do that,
yeah,
or more. This is only a very small district,
Yeah.
and it's the only historic district we have.
you know, here's something that I'd like to see as an anchor in terms of at least economically, and you're going to have trouble getting people to come into Howard Center to keep it alive and to keep it economically. I think there's been some other proposals in this particular area. I think Greg Winston came forward with something, but I don't think he was able to get the financing. I don't think the business plan worked for the bank and so forth. This is a low use. It's not a manufacturing concern. It's low impact. And again, we have 40 feet on the road. Ruggies is about, what, I should have gone out and measured it. I can't believe it's more than 25 feet on the road, as was the tile shop. Those are both the Greek revivals, as we know.
An exchange building was 60 feet.
That's a
On
lovely,
one side,
that's a
and-
lovely building, and it's too bad we couldn't save that one.
And Ruggies has parking in the back, but
Mhm.
the customers have been using this lot as parking
Right.
because that's the convenient.
Mhm.
So if you say the parking like in the back, then there won't be customers coming in that
Mhm.
easily into a business, which just makes it difficult to put a business like right on the street. Like, I understand that last time you pointed out the Harwich Port,
Mhm.
but Harwich Port has like mostly all the businesses along the street, and then they have the walking tourists, you know? Like, we stand at the Main Street Market, we don't see that many tourists coming in. Like, there's just regular customer coming in. And you go to Harwich Port, it's just all the tourists. So I feel like the Harwich Port has a different demographic, like the type of customers they get. compared to like the Harwich Central ones.
Can I just
Yeah,
say
sure.
something? And first of all, I do want to echo what Mary said. I think it's great. It's really nice to see local people developing local land. I went online today and looked up Department of the Interior and some examples of convenience stores in historic areas, and it's been done. One of the things that came across very strongly to me is that in every single one, they talked about site placement and being compatible with other buildings in the streetscape. So I think that says that you've got to have even more than a 40-foot. I mean, I think the way that you've oriented it, the people coming into town are not going to see it as a store. The people, and you're right, the people that you see come in know that you're there. If you faced the sidewalk, I think you would get walk-in traffic. And I think that you would get, certainly the bike traffic in the summertime, they're always looking for a place to get a soda or, you know, ice cream or a sandwich or whatever. I mean, you could really make it a very outstanding destination, I think, if you faced it towards the sidewalk.
You know, again, Jean, Ruggies doesn't have 40 feet on the road. We're gonna have a 3-foot door at least. This is a good 3-foot door for anyone that wants to walk by or walking by. But I gotta tell you, 90% of the people are driving cars, and they'd like to drive right in and get out of their car, and they're not walking down the street. Now, I suppose maybe on a band concert night, will we get some people walking down Main Street in Howard Center? I don't know.
Well, the other thing I'm concerned about, as Bob said, this is a 100-year decision. I mean, this is not something that we can say, oh, you're going to change it in 5 years, because once it's built, and we don't get this chance to make the historic district great and make it look cohesive again. I'm concerned about the parking abutting, if I'm not mistaken, the parking for the other strip of stores that's in there where you currently are. And I think that's going to be not the most warm and welcoming site that people are going to look for in a historic district.
You know, we're gonna have some landscaping, and on both sides here, and along there, and along here. It's gonna be hopefully a showpiece of sorts. It's gonna be a nice development. We're gonna spend $1 million here. We're gonna borrow money from the Cape Cod Factory Savings Bank. The cartels have a working relationship with that bank. Anyway, I just think that this is also a missed opportunity to have something. How long has it been vacant like this? 5 or 6 years or more? And before that, it was an eyesore when it was a garage.
No, I understand.
Even though George D. Meserve back in 1950s had a garage right there. I took my car to him. But anyway, I just think that, again, we're trying to go along with the architectural shingles. We're trying to go along with the clapboard and the white cedars and windows with the divided lights and transoms, and we want to make it look nice and traditional.
So any other questions from the board first? We're still deep in our public hearing, so.
Yeah, well, Jean took what I was about to say. The 2 parking lots are going to be facing each other. The store that you're leaving, is this is going to be in competition with
No.
what's...
There's going to be one. We're going to move from that spot.
Oh, I know that.
Into this building. There's no need to have another convenience store there. No
Well-
one's going to go that. We're going to vacate that.
Exactly, but
Yeah.
you don't know what whoever owns
Anything
that
in the
building
world
is
can
going to
come
put
in.
into it.
But they're not
So,
going to be able to compete with us up here with a brand new building with space and with new freezers and light and so forth. I mean, and they have a following that will
No,
come to them. And this will be a
sure
much
they
better spot to come and shop at. Much easier. You go down and round and so forth. Even there, it's not so bad. The parking down there is only one side, of course, as you know. It's not double like this.
So is the question that the 2 parking lots are facing each
well,
other?
it's
No,
just
there's
that
gonna be parking along the side here.
it's just
Okay.
that this building is, the position of it and the way the parking is really kind of mirrors the building you're leaving, which is positioned, I want to say sideways, but you know, it's like it is, the front of it is not on the street, it's on the side, and the parking is there too, so you drive down and you're going to see this front of this building, and then you'll see the parking, and then you'll see more parking, and you'll see, and what Bob said was, this is a 100-year decision, and the building that you're vacating is something that will be there for quite some time,
have to live with
and
it,
is not a very attractive
So-
building.
Well,
for
you
storage.
have, you have a
So-
base. I'm sorry.
No, I was just saying, so it's the position of it and the way the parking is and the fact that this is right on the main street. And what you see is asphalt. Granted, there'll be some landscaping, but there will be asphalt, and you'll see a very small, well, very small. It'll be large. I'm not saying it's very small, but it will be just this small portion. The rest of it is going to be.
So while we're on the topic, I'm just gonna ask the question. Is there an opportunity to flip the building and the lot? And would that be something more amenable to some members of the board? Or are you still, is the site placement still gonna be a sticking point? And I'm just trying to gauge where we're at. For the applicant's information, we are 4 people voting on it, and you need a unanimous vote to get the certificate of appropriateness. So,
When you say flip, you mean put it on the other.
I'm saying,
building on
right,
the
I'm
other
saying
side
so
of the
that then
lot.
you would at least have, you would at least split the 2 parking lots with the building, and you'd see the
You wouldn't
Oh, I
building.
see.
You wouldn't see parking, you wouldn't see parking from here to here. You'd have a building here and a parking.
And the parking on
Correct.
the
And
other side.
that, and I'm asking the question
That's a
for,
reasonable- that's a
for members of the
reasonable-
board.
That's a
Well,
reasonable
I
compromise.
think the issue with that would be then you'd have 2 parallel buildings at a 90-degree angle to the street, which is not what we typically look for in a historic district or in an older neighborhood.
So I'm asking the question for, because we is gonna have to be unanimous,
Right.
or,
I understand.
or it's not gonna be granted. Any other questions from the board? If not, at this point, I can open it up to members of the public. Is there anybody that wishes to speak from the public? Please come forward, Mr. Bradley.
I'm in a butter request to speak. And,
Bob, can you just take the microphone so that we can get you recorded?
I'm just
You
gonna reach.
can sit there.
Okay, why don't I just come over here?
Or just take Bob down.
That's okay.
That's all right, sit down. Sit down.
Thanks. So your name and address for the record,
Yeah,
please.
my name is Robert Bradley, and I'm at 712 Main Street. We have a home there. It struck me listening to the comments that I think one of the issues that I see is that the building is a bulk building. There's no indentation on the forms of the building, and that could be corrected without great expense by just creating some indentures. I think I don't want to say any more than that, but I think that would allow for some variety, maybe even some variety in the windows. I don't know. Once you create a variation on the facades. The other thing that bothers me in terms of the building is the outdoor staircases. I don't know. I would think that would give you a chance to create another farm, which would also break up the bulky look that it has right now. And I don't know what. I don't want to try and design it. It's just saying I think it should be under consideration as a reason for another series of farms to occur in the building. And again, I don't think it would be terribly expensive. The parking I think the issue of the historic orientation, the relationship to the other buildings, it doesn't work here the way it's set. And I have no suggestion for that. But I think it should be looked at again somehow. Maybe there could be a variation on the shape of the building, perhaps. There might be an L shape, which would give it more facade to the street, but not entirely take up the whole area. Hopefully that when the old building down below comes up for some modification, because I think they probably will try to do whoever will be the new owner or whatever, might try to do something there that we can, this commission could come back and emphasize the street again. But in the meantime, I think there should be, I think Bob Doan is right, there should be more recognition of its relationship to the abutting buildings. There's a very nice little rhythm that occurs with those buildings, and a variation in the windows, too. And I think that should be given some consideration. So I think if you work with the staircases and you work a little bit with the shape of the building, that it might solve some of those problems. I'm concerned about the lighting on the parking lot. There is a rather strict control that has not been adhered to for the historic district. You're not supposed to be able to see the source of lighting in the historic district, and I think we should pay attention to that. And I think I'm not sure about the parking. I don't know whether I would like to orient it more to the rear, but I don't know. I don't know how you can do that right now. Anyway, that's.
Thank you.
Yes.
And I think those are some decent suggestions, and I would say to you that the lighting, we've strived to adhere to what's in the guidelines and so forth, and and accomplish that. Secondly, you talked about the railings, the decks and the stairways and so forth. We've eliminated those because I've noticed in the guidelines on the website that old buildings never had outside stairways, and although we need a couple of forms of egress from the upstairs apartments, the 2 apartments that we're going to have, we'll make those inside so that there won't be any stairways outside. And I think that to break up the building, you're right, it's a big box, and if we could, we're still very interested in the position where we are, but if we could go down halfway maybe and tone it down a little or cut it down a little and make it sort of into, as you look at it from the back, into that bigger, higher structure and a little smaller coming back, I think we could do something like that, and it would make it smaller, and it would break it up so that when you were driving down the street and you looked in that way, you would see it would be broken up and it would be a little more pleasing.
What about his concept about the L shape, though? If you had a chunk on the front and then a piece in the back, you'd have, one driveway coming in, but then you could then park, and the parking would be mostly hidden, or at least half of it would be hidden.
So you would propose bringing the building over to here maybe or
Over to
something?
here, and an L shape,
Yeah, an
and then
L-shape
maybe
like this,
shortening,
and then
and shortening it there,
there.
or it could be the same size, I don't know about
So
that.
before we make them speculate too much,
Yeah.
I do understand that you're going to have to talk, they're going to have to talk to engineers and anything
Oh, yeah.
before they,
Well, we've got somebody here that knows a little bit about
Yeah.
that. But,
Madam Chair, may I, can
Please.
we ask for few minutes?
sure, we're still in the public hearing, so,
I want to hear a little more of what they're saying, but what do you
No,
tell
no,
us? Go
okay, I
ahead.
was gonna talk to you about something, I have an
Okay.
idea, but
All
I
right.
don't know if I,
Sure.
I want
Yeah,
to
go
talk to
ahead.
him, make sure
Go
he's
ahead.
okay with it. So I
Sure,
wanted
would you like a
to
5-minute recess?
Yeah,
Yes,
few minutes
absolutely.
recess.
Sure, we'll take a
Yes.
5-minute recess,
I
we're
appreciate
still in the public hearing, we still have
Absolutely.
some letters to read into the record,
Absolutely.
okay?
I'd like to hear the letters.
We will
We'll get
read them into
copies,
the record,
okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Candy's here, anybody wants?
No, thank you.
So that's,
So we are still being recorded because I'm not
That's right.
gonna take a
And we
chance.
can't
Right.
take, we can't
So-
discuss it
Nope.
at this point.
So 20, so we got a good 5 minutes. Just for everybody's information, we are still filming, so you're on record.
yeah. Be careful.
This weather, humidity.
Oh, brutal.
I was just out in upper state New York.
How far up?
Not that far up, only out south of Albany.
Okay.
And the air was beautiful.
Oh, was
Was
it?
it nice
was
up
the
there?
same
Oh,
temperature,
good.
but 50, literally 50%
Yeah.
humidity.
We have good
Gorgeous.
friends who were here all month from Florida, but they originally lived in Albany. They've been in Florida about 10 years. And so they were here for a month, and then they were going up to Albany for a few days to see their friends. So I'm glad they got some nice cool weather while they were up
Yeah,
there, because
yeah,
they were
yeah. It was still warm, but it was the
have a
humidity
great
was.
July. Oh, it was a really good month.
Oh, the
And for
beginning of it
anybody
was
visiting-
I went to the beach for the first time this past weekend. I was away for a week at clerk school. I was at clerk school. And I just, every time I was home, it wasn't a nice day.
Yeah. I went down and sat there yesterday, I guess it was. It was great, around 4:30. And I actually got like one parking spot at Bank Street, which is like impossible to get. They're
Wow.
just, it's packed. I think Harwich is busier than I've ever seen it.
Oh, the Harwich Court is unbelievable.
I
Yeah.
have
Well,
a
we're missing
great.
the stroll tonight. I'm just
I
sharing.
know.
Oh.
We're missing the stroll. I like my Wednesday night strolls.
Here's
Where
a
do you
comment
park?
I heard. Oh, the woman
I
was
usually love
coming
that
back from
on
Nantucket
Schoolhouse Road.
Did you get something?
a week ago
Yeah, you
Friday
just have to,
with our friends from Florida.
you have to drive
And
through
we're
a
on
couple
the
of
ferry.
times, but you usually catch something.
I go down
Two
to
guys
the
are
post
sitting in this
office.
three-seater,
And then walk
Bob and his friend Tom, and then Michelle and I are sitting here. Barbie and Ken couple, but they're dressed to the nines. They get on in Nantucket and they're looking for seats. So the guy sits with my husband and his friend, and the woman sits with us. She starts talking nonstop. I mean, she is dripping in. I mean, she's very well put together. She's from Weston, but they have a place in Chatham. And she started talking, and so she asked us where we were from, and my friend said Florida, and I said, well, I live in Harwich. And she went off on Harwich about, it is the most happening place between what's going on at the waterfront and the stroll on Wednesday. Chatham doesn't have anything like a stroll. And she said,
Chatham's starting something. They
do
started
Mondays.
something on Mondays.
I saw something, Mondays.
On their
something,
Mondays.
Yes. But I just thought that was so funny, and I thought, oh, I have to tell this to my friends in Harwich. But it really is, I mean, it's busy.
They were doing,
It is.
they were doing Touch a Truck today, plus the country music. So my friend is here this week, and her little boy, the last 2 years, they've been here on a Wednesday night. He has gone and he has danced.
Oh,
Dances with everybody in front of every
Oh, isn't
band.
that great? Isn't
And
that
so
great?
that is what I'm missing at the moment.
oh, that's too bad. That is fun.
It's hysterical.
That touch a truck thing is fabulous. My friend took her grandson there and just had the best time. I don't know who had the best time.
The chamber has done a great job with the
Yeah.
strolls.
Yeah.
Oh, they have.
But I leave town hall to go to, I'm off of Lower County, not too far from you.
Right?
20 minutes to get
To
home.
get-
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, it's crazy.
Well, today I thought I'd go into Chatham because it was stupidly, it's cloudy, I'll go into Chatham and I wanted to get lemon olive oil at the olive oil store. It's,
I like Gustari.
it's so good. And it took me 15 minutes, and I never got the olive oil because I couldn't find any place to park. It took
Remind me to tell you another one.
15 minutes to get through the town. But, yeah, that lemon olive oil is worth it. I'll have to go down like really early in the morning or something.
Remind me, I'll tell you a brand when we're off camera.
Ah,
It has very good ones. They're a California brand. Very good.
California olive oil is very good. My daughter lived near where they used to make it in the Central Valley in Visalia. They had some big olive trees, groves there. It was good.
This other company does a lot of the citrus ones and a lot of the flavored olive
It
oils
makes
and the
sense. I
flavored
mean, you've got all those lemons
balsamics. So good.
and California.
Blood, my favorite is a blood orange.
Oh, really? That's fascinating.
So good.
I've had that in the
So
balsamic
good on a salad.
Yeah,
With,
you don't
with
need
like
anything else. Yeah.
with the Zinfandel vinegar or one of the port wine vinegar. Oh, it's so good.
Yeah.
They have a honey apple vinegar too. It's like
I haven't
so
tried that
good.
one. Now I'm getting hungry. But my husband's cooking.
Okay, we're back in the record.
That's good.
Stop talking about cooking.
Okay, well, we
So,
will.
how many, what kind of letters was it? 9 in favor, none against?
You'll know as soon as I read them into the record.
We can postpone that
So
if you'd like.
I just want to reconvene the
Yes,
reopen the public hearing. So please, Mr. Cahoon.
so moved. I can't, can I move that? No. Oh, okay, we're open, good.
We're open. You're on.
Okay, where's the plan? Hold the plan up. Let me tell them what we hope to do. Following our little brief conversation, after your thoughts, it appears that the Patels would agree and modify their plans so that we would have not just 40 feet on the front, but another 25. These parking spaces would be, over here would be eliminated. And there would be the egress and in and out here. And we would pick up the parking in the rear here, and maybe if we need more, out in this way, so that the building would be have more of a presence on Main Street. We'd have to work on the design. We want to make it pretty. We want to make it pleasing. It can't be like this, I guess. It's got to be something else, but we'll work on that.
No, this is okay.
What do you mean, another 25 feet? What are we going to do?
No, but the materials, I'll go.
That's fine.
Okay, so that's basically the situation. I'll let him speak for a second and give you maybe a little more.
And then you're gonna take it away from him.
I deal in concepts, he deals in millimeters.
Understood.
Good evening.
Okay, so you're-
Members of the board, for the record, my name is Hal Trumer. I'm a consulting engineer.
Thank you.
And I have an engineering architectural firm. I've been doing this for 30 years. I've worked in the Cape. I've designed buildings in Falmouth Village and Mashpee and Yarmouth and Dennis, and this is what I do. I have over 30 years of experience. So, and I've been involved with this project for over 5 years, I would say. I really lost 2 or 3 projects, potential projects, because of this issue. We understand the issue, but unfortunately, most of my clients, they're in the retail business, they want the exposure on the street. They're like you understand, it didn't work for them. As far as, financially, but
Tell them the details of this
I
change
will,
that we're
but
proposing.
just
I
to
don't
give
care
them-
about your
I wanna
concepts.
give them an overall,
Yeah.
that I'm very familiar with this piece of land. I'm not
Yeah.
just here because he hired me to show up today, and I really know. And you're probably all familiar with the project. The first 40, 50 feet is flat, and then it drops like 8 feet. And that's a challenge, to put the building on this side and try to make it handicap accessible. There's rules, and we have to, this is a new building, it has to meet all the building codes and all that. So I sat down, I listened to your comments, I know what your issues are, what your concerns. What I thought, and again, this is a concept, the building's not gonna be boxed. I appreciate the comment, it's gonna have some jogs, some roof line, that's not gonna be just a box. But by eliminating the back and increasing the front by 25 feet, I can pick up another 25 feet on Main Street. So you have 65 frontage. I think this is good. That gives me some room to have a curb cut for a driveway, two-way driveway, and have some parking in front of the building for handicap, mostly, you know, and turn the driveway this way to the rear of the building and have some parking, double rows, but most of this parking you won't see from the street because it's behind the building. I think that satisfies both, because he's got some exposure, not hell of a lot, but at least he's got some exposure, and also it satisfies your concerns because most of your parking now is hidden behind the building. Also eliminates your concern with having a parking versus a
Right.
parking. We can increase maybe the landscape by 10 feet. This whole area will be landscape. Also, what we can do, we can dress up the building with the design and have some jogs in it, so it's not just boxy, and look at the, you know, the windows is not an issue really. I mean, whatever we decide, we can match what's there or come up with. This is beautiful. I don't think you have any objection to that. In terms of materials, it's gonna be all wood, it's architectural, you know, I think, again, we need to get a feeling where we go with this, because I gotta go back to the drawing boards. This is gonna cost my client some money, obviously, you know, and so we would like to get a feeling how the board is
And if I might, Bob, how do you feel about this?
Better.
We need more than a better.
I'd have to see what the,
Yeah, I don't want to hold you.
this side, you know, this side would look like. I mean, there's still, if it's just bigger on that, it would, looks pretty stark, but, because, you know, this, I'm talking about this end. You'd still want to keep the roof line that way and not switch it? I mean,
65 feet, it's,
Yeah, okay.
12 on 12 pitch, I'm not sure. I gotta be over probably the height. I have to be more.
What are you suggesting,
Well,
Bob?
I don't know, I'm not an architect, but, no, actually, that's a question. Because this is a historic district, do they get a pass on the 30 feet?
I do not believe so.
I thought they
I
might.
do not, I don't think so, but we can certainly find out from staff.
I'll tell you my height, because exactly, I need a 5-foot covered driveway too, so, that's 70 feet long.
We can find out
Yeah.
and deal with it and,
Yeah,
at the
I
next.
thought there were some exceptions.
My roof
might
is
be.
gonna be, what I'm thinking, maybe a couple of, a roof line and two, gable ends in the front, rather than have one, so you'll have two gable ends and you have the main line going
Yeah,
all the way.
okay, that,
Be nice.
something like
So-
that, yeah.
So we can
But-
jog it against.
But
you
I
know,
would
so-
check that, because the buildings there now are well over 30 feet, aren't
So
they?
we can,
No,
we,
the building is that's there, it's probably.
No,
850.
the.
the others
this-
in the historic district,
Oh,
he's
his
referring
historic
to.
district, you know, across the street, the Masonic
Yeah,
building.
So that,
more than-
they're all
that's
30
certainly,
feet.
that's certainly a question staff
I'm
can,
gonna be
can,
45 feet if I do that with the
Right.
12 and 12 pitch now.
just, I
And make it look
think,
like the Exchange Building.
I'm gonna ask the
A mini
question.
one.
I think you're still in the ballpark, if I'm reading my board correctly, that you would like to see a new round of plans on, based on this?
Yes,
Obviously
may I ask a
reserving-
question too?
Absolutely.
Oh, okay. So my question would be, I like the idea of what you're proposing. I would love it if on the side that faces the street, we could have a real front door, like maybe a double door, something to make it look really appealing and welcoming to people who are walking.
I think it-
Maybe even like, you see at Ruggies, I think it is it Ruggies that has the little porch outside, or they have benches outside someplace
No,
for that?
You want sort of a double door, so it's the real main entrance,
I
more or
wanna-
less. And
I think it
it's-
would
I think
be-
it's no problem.
I think that would be,
That's no problem. That's
very
gonna be, that's
fitting.
gonna be a front of the building on the street.
Yeah.
It's not gonna be a side that has like a small window or something and the
Right,
rest
so
of it
I'm-
clapboard.
yeah.
We're gonna make it have a real front out there, as well as an entranceway similar
Right.
on the side. But I think that would work.
Yeah, like Ruggies and everybody has like a single door, so like if a single like real looking door is gonna be fine, right?
Well, no, she wants a big door.
She wants a bigger
Well,
door.
something that looks
A double door that you would open, an entranceway.
an entranceway. It's going to be a fairly substantial width of
Will
space,
be
so
a
you want a
double
door,
door,
you
what
want
we
something
see.
that,
We
whatever is.
can have a double door there that might only open half of it, unless we're having so many people that we have to open both to let
Oh,
them
yeah,
in.
it's similar to what you see.
You know?
yes.
Yeah,
Right,
okay.
right.
But, so I think what we are concerned about is like, are you guys fine with the exposure to the main street? Like,
Yeah.
what we're, like, we go back and
Yeah.
do design everything?
Let me ask them, yeah. Well, obviously, we can't hold you to, you know, you may see
Correct.
something that's, you didn't anticipate. But based on what we've talked about, I think that you people are more on board. Am I correct?
Yeah, and even
I
if you
mean,
came
otherwise
back-
we're wasting our time.
Right, and don't totally redesign the whole building, but just do some some sketches of what it would propose look like, might be helpful.
When's the next
without-
meeting that we can come before you like this?
So that is, so we're too late, the next meeting is August 15th, so we're too late for that. It would be the third Wednesday in September, so.
Isn't it because we're on the agenda and in the process, isn't this sort of a continuance to the next meeting period?
So,
We don't have to re-advertise and things like that,
so
do
we don't have to re-advertise because we can postpone to a future,
Right.
future date.
Right.
But our agenda, I think our agenda is pretty well set for the 15th already.
You can't add
We
another one?
we may be able to amend it.
Yeah, can they do like an informal meeting like they did before? At least we can
We-
see it, but we can't vote on it?
I would say no, because we're in the middle of taking testimony. So
Okay,
we're in the middle of taking testimony, we've started.
okay,
We're the only four that can vote on this project
right.
going forward, so today's only the 1st. Would the 15th give you enough time to?
August?
The 15th of August give you enough time to get to us?
Yes? Yes.
I mean, if not, our next meeting is the middle of September.
Middle of September, that's a long time. On the 15th?
Yeah.
But I don't
Well, you don't have to come here, you draw the plans. Can you get the plans together by then?
Yes.
So
I'd
I'm
like
just
to
gonna
come
ask your
before you.
timing. I mean,
We-
what's your timing for construction?
We-
Because if the middle of September isn't a problem,
No,
as far as
we'd like
affecting
to-
your
we'd like-
timing, then.
We'd like to get underway, you know, I mean, we've got the planning board, we've got all kinds of hurdles to, we've got the financing. I mean, we're not gonna be able to break ground until, who knows when.
Okay.
No, I think this is more like a spring of 2019 construction.
I think we can-
Not, to be honest, yeah, we still have to go in front of planning boards and, you know,
But-
so,
But I guess I'd like to come the 15th if we can, right?
Yeah, if,
And I think that we'll have something, and even if he's not here, we'll be able to look at it, and if there's things we don't like, I think we'll all understand it better. I think it's if we can, and we don't have to spend a lot of time, perhaps at that time, but I think it would be beneficial to everybody if we come.
Okay,
This is
so,
a- this
so
is
my
a serious
question for
thing.
my question for the board is, the four of us need to be here in order to have a quorum, in order to continue the public hearing.
for this,
So does everybody have availability on the 15th, so that, you know, you're gonna be
I
here
do.
and able to attend?
I do too.
Okay, so we can, I do wanna finish the public hearing
Yep, that's
here
fine.
before we continue it and read the letters into the record.
Right.
But if you, I also just need to ask on the record, if you folks are consenting to the extension till the next regular meeting, which is scheduled for the 15th
Of August, yes.
of August.
Yes.
So,
Continue till then.
just, it confirms that we have an extension on our time to
Yes.
vote on the matter. So, that being said, is there anybody else in the public that wishes to speak on the application? Please come forward. If you could take the microphone, state your name and address, please.
I'm Peter Antonellis. I'm an abutter to the site on the rear side of it.
On Parallel Street.
Yeah. On Powell Street.
Simmons' house?
Yes. You know, we still do piano lessons if you need.
My cousin. I took the piano lessons
And
with
who is
Charlotte in that,
And who, with Charlotte
Yeah,
Sims,
that's right,
and
so
who-
did I.
Mr. Antonellis, are you going to,
testify?
Well, I was gonna,
well, my question is, are you going to read your letter into the record? Because your letter was one of the letters I was going to read into the record. So if you're here, we can,
sure, I'll read it into the record if you
Perfect.
wish. Must have
You need a
a copy of
copy?
it here. No, I'm running.
I should have come and knocked on the door.
I need to say before I read the letter into the record, had I heard on the day that I wrote the letter, what I was hearing today, I probably would not have read the letter, written the letter.
Then it's your choice on what you want to do with the letter.
Well, then
I-
let me- You don't
No.
have to make it part of the record. As far as
Okay.
I'm concerned, I can withdraw it.
We'd like to hear your input, though, if you've got some.
Thank you. What I've heard from the commission tonight is really, really encouraging. First, let me say that I think I'm friends with everyone here. We use the convenience store on occasion, mostly when the electricity goes out and I need ice. I find some better prices elsewhere, and I don't drink a lot. That said, and I know Robbie, the property owner, he's a great mechanic, great guy. Congratulations on the expansion of the family. More jogs, more indentations, changes of pitch, the idea of the L, the idea of maybe moving it on the lot, all of that is fabulous, and it needn't really be expensive, I don't believe. You would know the answer to that better than I would, the architect, that is. In the same vein, when I see all the windows, I think of all of the fancy windows that go on a lot of these properties. They spend a lot of money on windows, but my experience is that you don't actually see, you don't get depth with windows anymore because the windows actually get covered from the inside anyhow. And a lot of the older properties don't have a lot of windows on them. They have a few windows that happen to be very large vertically more than anything else. I just want to reiterate what I've heard about L's and jogs and changes in pitch. Leads me to my one point that I didn't hear. The property itself, there's an incline or a change in grade from the street to the back of the lot. It needn't necessarily be an adverse challenge to developing the building, I don't believe, but I'm not an architect, so I don't know the answer to that. But if that could be incorporated somehow into the structure that's put there with a lower access on the L or the rear side, I wonder if that wouldn't also make it more in keeping with the other properties that characterize the site. I'm thinking of Ruggies in particular. But I'm encouraged by what I hear if those kinds of changes are made. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We do have, is there anybody else in the audience that wishes to speak? Please come forward. Please state your name and address for the record.
My name is Rabia Basil. I'm the owner of the property, and I own the United Gas Station in Harwich Port on 28. I see it's a great opportunity to have someone to come and develop this property. It's not easy at all, as we all know, to be in Harwich Center and spend money and open a business. I think if Mr. Patel didn't have the business next door, he won't even take the chance and spend the money. It's not 100,000, it's not 200,000, it's millions to do this project. I don't think you guys will approve him for what you only like, and him like, go ahead with the project, spend all these millions and close next day. I don't think you guys would like that. And at the same time, we all know Harvest Center is a historic district. And we need to respect that. As Mr. Bob said, 100 years from now, are we gonna change Harvest Center and make it non-historic? No, we don't want that. But at the same time, do we want 100 years from now not having anything on this property? That's another question. I think with what you guys like and what he wants to do, we can meet somewhere. I put too many projects and I didn't succeed to finish it. Not because I didn't move too forward with the board, because it's not easy. I mean, even if I get approved for all the finance and everything else, there's a big question. Am I gonna succeed here, yes or no? He has the chance of everyone to succeed in this project, to build it, to make Harvest Center better, to bring more people to Harvest Center. I think the biggest issue that I see is the parking. Everything else, windows design, as Mr. Bob too said, everything can be changed to meet what the district as a historic like. With some parking here, with the curve that Mr. L suggests, I think we can get to somewhere and make this Harvest Center better, because my property has been open to the public for years, since the day I purchased it. I never close it. Why would I not close it? I'm a member from Harwich. I love Harwich Port. I love Harwich Center, so I want to see something happening. And I think you guys would like to see the same thing happening. So let's work together. Let's get somewhere. Because if I'm going to close the property today, no one's going to park in the back. Everybody's going to park on the street, because that's what people like. They want to park on the side. They don't want to park in the back. But at the same time, we don't want to have this whole thing, two parking lot, one next to the other. So if we can meet somewhere and get this property going, I think that will be good for Harvest Center. That's all I want to say. And I'm not here, again, to sell this property. Believe me, the last thing I want to do, I want to sell this property. I love it, and I bought it because one day I was pumping gas at this gas station. And one day I was pumping gas in Harwich Port. And because we are in a great country, I was able to buy both property, me and my brother. So if I don't sell this property, believe me, I'm gonna be happy, because one day my kids will do something in this property. But today we have the chance that these people, these hard workers too, can do something. Let's make it happen. That's all what I want to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
So we did receive a letter from a Daniel Perpal at 41 Christopher Way. It was addressed and says, "Gentlemen, in regards to the convenience store proposal at Harwich Center, being a full-time resident, that property would have a better use to the town, the residents, and the store owners as a town parking lot. In my opinion, we do not need Cape Cod Commission telling us how to run our town. They do not pay taxes, they just take them." So, letter received by the commission, so just needing to read it into the record of the public hearing. If there's no one else wishing to speak at this time, the chair would entertain a motion to continue this public hearing to the date certain of August 15th, again at 6 p.m. We may be in this hearing room, or we may be next door, depending on availability. So we will confirm that with our agenda. And the applicant has duly granted us an extension so that we can continue the public hearing. So the chair would entertain a motion to continue to the date certain of August 15th.
So moved.
Do I hear a second?
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Any in opposition? Hearing none, a motion to postpone the public hearing and continue it until August 15th carries. Look forward to seeing your new plans, and we will see you then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you. That's a great idea. Just.
Mr. Bradley, are you coming back for the rest of our meeting?
Evidently. So, well, this, well, don't, we can't, don't just, no.
We're still.
Thanks, yeah.
We're
See
still
you
waiting.
later.
Thank you very much.
Good, how are you?
Give people a moment to vacate. Mr. Bradley, are you coming back for our meeting?
We're waiting. I pulled all my papers out.
I'll see you soon. Good seeing you. Yeah, I'll stop by. And likewise. Okay, so.
No one else wanted to stay?
Nobody wanted to stay for us.
That's it?
That was it.
They weren't here for us?
We really don't have anything else on our agenda, unless there are any briefings and reports that board members wish to make.
I have none.
Okay, so the next,
Oh, except that we should continue the original suggestion made in June,
which
When-
was,
which was to, after we adjourn,
Dinner.
have dinner.
we should do that. We should do that at some point, yes.
We
I
haven't
agree.
forgotten, have we, Bob?
No.
Okay,
Have dinner?
Yeah,
After the meeting.
yeah, after a meeting. We're
Oh,
gonna do
after
that
a
one
meeting.
time. Yes.
so
Not
we,
now.
Someplace nice or just some?
No,
Someplace
your
nice.
place.
there we go, we're coming up.
No, not nice.
That's nice.
So, another item that we will have to address at the next meeting, which I will put on the agenda, is our reorganizational meeting. We should have had it on today, but didn't think of it and didn't put it on the agenda. So I will add that to the August 15th,
What is it?
our annual organizational meeting
We don't have
to
much to work on.
vote our officers back
We need
again.
people to organize.
Yeah.
Yes, we do.
Yeah, is there a
Um,
status on that,
Um,
of getting new members,
Uh,
replacements?
I have spoken to members of the interview committee, and they are looking hard for additional members for us, so hopefully we will have some soon. Because we are, as you know, we are too short with Gail's decision, not Gail's, Barbara Dowd's, sorry. Gail,
Wait,
I'm
you
looking
never
at Gail.
I
With
could
Barbara's
have
decision not to continue and Mr. Power's resignation, so they are actively looking. If anyone is interested, please seek out the Selectman's office and complete a citizen's information form. We would be happy to have some additional members on our committee. The only real update I have for you folks is Community Preservation Committee is still working hard and looking forward to taking applications in October for the next round. And is currently trying to firm up this year's application process. So, not much else to report in that regard.
Has anyone heard anything more about the progress on the historic district in West Harwich?
I've heard nothing.
They're still, the group is still in existence, and they still have their Facebook page, and it's constantly being updated. They just have no funds to, I mean, the next step is to prepare the application,
Right.
and they're discouraged as far as that goes, because the funding just, you know,
Well, that was for a National Historic Register though, correct?
Right.
That's what you're referring to, the National Historic
Yeah.
Register, versus another historic district.
well, they wanted to, through the, wasn't it the Mass Historic Commission that suggested this is a good,
A route to go.
a good step to take?
How much do they need?
15,000, I think, I know.
The town won't take it?
No,
No, that was that, I believe it was a controversy about that, whether
Yeah, there was-
CPC money could be used for that. And
yeah, there was some, if they went for half, there would be a grant for the other half.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, there was a, but it was turned down,
Okay.
so.
Any other reports from anybody?
Shouldn't we have excuse me, I just came in my head. Shouldn't we have somebody on the CPC?
So we will have somebody on the CPC. Joe Powers was our representative last year. He recently resigned because of a new job that he took. So he had to resign from CPC, so we will be voting for another CPC representative.
Because it's one of the four of the historic.
Mhm.
Should have somebody there
Yep,
anyway.
we did. Well, so we had Joe Powers, and I'm currently the housing committee rep on it, so.
Yeah, I know.
So I was on that as well.
Is that a voting position or just a
Oh, it's a voting position.
informational?
Nope.
Oh, okay.
nope, it's a voting position. So yes, we do have to consider a new representative for us for CPC for this round. So, that is another piece of what we have to consider early this fall. So, anything else, or we can entertain a motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second.
Anyone in favor?
Aye.
Anybody in opposition?
No.
Hearing none. We are adjourned. Thank you all for coming out.
No.
Good, it was a good meeting.
I need to hit the stop button. Okay, we're up. Excuse me, thank you.
Got everything?
Pushing the button. It's the button push.